Welcome to the Dome Discussions Podcast. Your top source for all things New Orleans Saints. Powered by four voices who live and breathe black and gold. Touchdown! Every hit, every play.
Welcome to the NFL.
Every moment. We've got it covered.
Let's go! Let's go! Go!
And I'm joined here with Nick Jennings. Obviously, today looks a little bit different with only two of us, and I do not look like Kyle and hosting, so things are a little bit different. But we'll be recapping. The Saints lost to the Bills 30-19. You could kind of start say positive that you want to.
Yeah, look, I think Kellen Moore deserves all the recognition for having the Saints look a lot better this week against the powerhouse of the Buffalo Bills. This team just doesn't quit, and that's great to see, obviously, because they've been playing from behind so early. Look, the tackling still, to me, is a big issue. You saw it on that first touchdown to Khalil Shakir. That was a pretty embarrassing play right there. But on another positive, the Saints were much better on third down this game. They had a couple early drives where they had trouble getting off the field on third down, though they did much better in that department as the Bills went just 3 of 10 on third down. And Spencer Rattler, another positive from this game. He looked great on his legs, had 6 rushes for 49 yards and a 15-yard rush. He looks like those scrambling drills are really paying off. They worked on him a lot last week. That was a big emphasis in practice. And I thought he showed fight. There's no questioning his competitive spirit. He had a number of balls which I believe could have been placed better. The accuracy has got to get fixed, but like we were kind of talking about before the episode, if he can fix that accuracy, I really think that Spencer Rattler can be a solid starting quarterback in this league. He had that almost touchdown to Brandon Cooks, just need to put a little more on it. That would have changed the game a lot. You mentioned it earlier. It seems like there's always just that one throw that he could have really changed the game with if he had hit, and hopefully that starts coming together.
Sorry about that, guys. My whole computer decided to lag out, which is wonderful right now because we're having a lot of fun issues. But going back to kind of what Nick was saying, the scheme was definitely different in today's game than the past. I'm not even counting the Seahawks game because let's just be real. That was, now we kind of know, not the norm. That was definitely different. This is a not competing team. This team competes in every game. I don't know if they're going to win, but they're going to compete. They're not going to have, and maybe we're going to have about 2 more games kind of close to what happened last week, but it's not the norm. But it has felt like the Kellen Moore and the Saints have gone into these, the first 2 games of the season, and then this Bills game with 3 different types of schemes. And Spencer Rattler now has been has really taken this role in this play action offense that Kellen Moore did this game. And that was very fun to see because we kind of knew that Spencer Rattler was really good at the play action offense. And it just felt like his game was kind of unlocked in against the Bills. And also the run game was really good, which helped. And the play action probably helped with that. The one thing I did not like, and look, the Bills could have covered it. I know Kellen Moore said after the game that there were some shot plays. There were some deep plays that could have been made that just Spencer Rattler instead ran with his legs and made big plays. So that's positive, but that's also negative. Maybe some of those should have been taken. Don't know yet. But it really has felt like this really felt like the most complete game on the offense. And I will say I'm never, ever, ever, ever going to root for someone to be injured, especially on the Saints. I mean, that's stupid to do and never do that. But when Ruiz was out, because Ruiz got rolled up on by a defensive lineman, and he went out with an ankle injury. We don't know the seriousness of this injury, but he went out. The offensive line played better. There were about 3 times that game, 4 times that game. I think he got injured in the second quarter. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there were about 4 or 5 times that a rusher got a wide open run to either Spencer Rattler or Alvin Kamara, and it completely destroyed the run. Kelly, there was one play, I don't know what drive it was. It might have been the second or third, but it might have been even first. It was 3rd and 6 on, I think, the Bills' 40-yard line, and the Saints called a run play kind of to surprise them. I think it was a great call because you're thinking this is 4-down territory. I will go for it. Let me gain some yards. if Ruiz picked up his block, it would have been fine. It would probably have been a 3-yard gain. The issue is Ruiz didn't pick up his block,
He
and
blocked
the
his own
defensive lineman
teammate.
defensive lineman just ran right by him and tackled Alvin Kamara. And you're like, okay, well, that just stalled the drive. There you go. Like, there were so many plays where that happened that personally, I was calling for, like, hey, there's tough conversations and Ruiz needs to be taken out. Like, now, the one saving grace, and I said this going into the season, was if Eric McCoy is healthy, Ruiz will play well. That has been a consistent in his career when those two are on the field. So what's happening? Like, why is Eric McCoy healthy and Cesar Ruiz not playing well? And one of the things the announcer said in the game, like, because this is such a new offensive line and they're finally with the whole group, they need to. It's 5 people on the field at once. They need to kind of get that communication together, and there's going to be mistakes. But this is Cesar Ruiz and Eric McCoy. They have that communication. They don't need to update the communication, and I think was the issue with McCoy. And when Simpkins went in at right guard, look, it wasn't pretty. I'm not going to say it was a perfect game, but Spencer Rattler had time in the pocket. Like, it was a really, really good game after that happened by the offensive line. And obviously there was issues. I mean, the blitzes were working. This is a young offensive line. Blitzes are going to work against this offensive line. Blitzes were working. But when they sent 3 defensive linemen, 4 defensive linemen, it really felt like the Saints did their job. And that was definitely nice to see. And I don't know how long Ruiz is going to be out, but going into the trade deadline, which we will definitely have an episode on that because it's nearly a month away. Like, again, tough conversations are going to need to happen with Ruiz.
I completely agree with you. Look, it's starting to feel like the Cesar Ruiz experiment is coming to an end. Had a breakout year last year. Really thought he would take another step this year. It just really has not happened. He's looked pretty awful this season, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. Had another bad game against the Bills before he went out. Just like you said, I mean, that play you were just talking about, he literally went and blocked his own teammate. I mean, you can't do that. Like, what are we doing?
And that's like 2 games in a row that's happened.
Yeah,
like, there was a horrible one last game at I think it was last game. And it was just like, what are you doing? Like,
I just don't.
I don't know if it's a mental thing because he has the power. Yeah. He has the power. He never really had Cesar Ruiz has always been that guard that you're like, he's going to let up like 2 plays a game, but he's going to kind of make it up for either the run game because he's a great run blocker. That was not his saving grace, but that was the main thing. And like, he was a fine to below average pass blocker, but it's now you're a liability when you are on the field. You are a backup guard playing guard. Like, that's what it looks like out there.
Yeah, and I think a big part of the things that you just said is because he was drafted as a center. He was moved to guard. I mean, you turn this guy into a whole new player once he joined the big leagues. I mean, I've told you before, and I will keep reiterating this. I don't agree with drafting projects, especially not that early. Maybe later in the draft, obviously, because you're not risking anything. But you spent a first-round pick on him. That was not a smart decision, in my opinion.
And I'll always I'm not going to defend the Saints on that pick because I've killed the Saints over that pick. I've never liked that pick. I didn't like that pick from the beginning. The one little devil's advocate thing in my head was like, okay, that's the COVID draft. Like, the COVID draft was bad. When if you ever have time to look just at the draft order, the first round, you will see some of the most heinous selections, and like, it's wild. That this is definitely kind of not up there, but it's not a good pick compared to it was a good pick in that draft of the first round, but that's not saying much. Like, so it's just an issue. And I'm going to say also, I was wrong about Penning in this game. Penning kind of started slow. He came back from injury this game, started at left guard right away. He started slow, but when he was kind of getting used to it, I was like, oh, okay, that's a left guard in this. That's a left guard on this team. I was like, I see it. Now I can see them re-signing him on a cheap deal. I don't want it to be an expensive deal. It cannot be anywhere close to the Cesar Ruiz contract. But if it's a cheap deal, hey, bring Penning back. And if he's like, hey, I actually feel comfortable for the first time in my career, then yeah, he's going to want to come back also. Yep. So, and this could honestly be like, we kind of saw it with Andrews Pete when he was moving around, and then he finally kind of found that like he actually kind of started playing well. That's kind of what it might feel like, where it's like, oh, but we can bring him back after kind of dogging on him for 4 years. Like we can kind of, and then the Saints didn't bring him back, but like it could work. So yeah, is there anything else on the offensive side of the ball that you kind of want to focus on?
Yeah, actually, real quick on Trevor Penning, he did leave this game with an injury as well. He came back. He did take a trip to the tent. He did come back in the game, but I wanted to point out how much better the run game looked with him on the field.
Oh my
Dude,
God, yeah, I forgot about that.
Kendre Miller, man. Oh my goodness. That guy
That's running back.
I am officially on the Kendre Miller hype train. He is a special talent. Hopefully he can stay healthy because he's shown us why the Saints drafted him in the third round in a pretty nice looking running back class that year. They took him over Tajay Spears, who's had a pretty solid career with the Titans. Had that outstanding touchdown. Had 11 rushes for 65 yards. And like I said, that vintage AK-esque 18-yard touchdown where tacklers were just bouncing off of him. That was awesome to see. I mean, if any year would be the year for him to put it all together, it's this year, and I couldn't be more happy for him. But I also want to point out Alvin Kamara, one of the greatest in Saints history. I don't think he's lost a step. Look, you saw it on that 17-yard run. Chris Olave actually had a really good block on that play as well. So it's good to see Chris Olave getting involved in the block game, especially because we've seen him struggle. But I'll kind of take that I'll take that into Chris Olave because I do want to talk about Chris Olave for a little bit. He's been dropping some really catchable passes lately, some that would put the Saints in a better position playing from behind. That one on the sideline, the Saints really needed that one. Bounced right off his hands. Seemed like a catch he obviously should have came down with. But you could see after he got that touchdown, just all that weight lifted off his shoulders, all that emotion that was showing once he scored in that celebration. You could tell that was definitely a confidence builder for him, and hopefully that's all he needed to break out of the slump because the Saints have been putting an emphasis on getting him the ball. They just haven't been on the same page, and this offense is 10 times better when Chris Olave is on a groove.
Yeah, and the Saints didn't even need to throw that much in this game. Like Spencer Rattler, and I'm getting the stats up real quick. Spencer Rattler finished with 126 passing yards.
Yeah.
Only threw 27 times. This was, again, as I kind of said, this was a completely different offense. And one of the reasons why is the Bills' run defense is not good.
No.
And the Saints were able to just run through it, which is great. Like Spencer Rattler had nearly 50 rushing yards also, and he was gashing them. I mean, he was dropping linebackers everywhere. It's definitely something that I want to see from Spencer Rattler going into future games, and I think it unlocks his offense a bit more because the more you take away from Rattler's plate passing wise, I think it's better for his career. I think he could throw 30 passes or 40 passes and still do well. Yes, we've actually seen it already this season. But I think you still need to take it away because we saw it was not a perfect game from Spencer Rattler. No. He had a good game, but we're always going to come back to the miss to Brandon Cooks that would have gotten the lead in the fourth quarter. It was a bad miss. There's nothing to say about it. Brandon Cooks was wide open and Spencer Rattler missed him. I will say actually this game, I think Spencer Rattler's timing on passes was good. I mean, he got Rashid Shaheed on a slant that was perfect. There were perfect. And the touchdown, there were perfect passes. They were really good passes. But that pass to Cooks was the one that just was the stain on this game. And that sucks. And that's kind of, and you were talking about it, like everything just if everything gets put together and Rattler can improve that accuracy, you have at least a top 15 quarterback in the NFL. And that's all you could ask. And that's kind of why after this game, I was like, going into next training camp. I know that's in the future, but we're already starting to think about the draft. Like it's that time. I think you have to go in with Spencer Rattler being the favorite to win the job with Tyler Shuck battling again. I think it's going to be part 2 of that battle. And I think the main thing, because we already saw so much development from Rattler this offseason, you are seeing it. And last season we saw development during the season. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some development during the season. As I just said, his accuracy has been better. Was better this game. He's dealt with pressure better, although there was more pressure in this game. He dealt with pressure.
Using his legs.
If we see that by the end of the season, it's his job next year. I don't like.
100%.
I'm ready for it next season because also, let's be real, the quarterback class is not looking the best, and there's some people. But Ruben Bain, you are a New Orleans Saints. Welcome to the like. If the Saints have a top pick, they're gonna go corner, wide receiver, or edge rusher. Like that's the mindset I had because of how weird those positions currently are in the Saints. Speaking of cornerback and edge rusher, we'll go to the defense. And I'm just going to start off with the cornerback room because speaking of, I kind of mentioned when Cesar Ruiz went out, offensive line played better. Well, this game, my dreams came true, and Quincy Riley was put in on defense more. And guess what? The pass defense was 10 times better. I will say pressure was taken off them a little bit because the Bills just ran down the middle 60 times and it worked. Like the Saints run defense was bad, god awful. It was not what you want to see, which sucks because they put so much investment into the defensive line or into the run defense this offseason. But there were multiple times where, and Quincy Riley got beat on it looks like a curl route, and he got beat, and he played off of the corner or the wide receiver just a little bit, and he was so angry because he knew he could have gotten there. He knew he was a step behind. But there were 3 times Josh Allen dropped back, looked left, that's Quincy Riley's side, could not pass the ball, had to look right, ended up in a sack. Like, this is the first time this year we've seen good coverage, and that affect the offense that they're against a lot. And that was the first sign that I was like, okay, there's no way you don't play Quincy Riley next game. You've seen everything. You've seen enough.
I completely agree. And look, going back to the Saints getting tore up by the Bills rushing attack, James Cook did enter the game second in the league in rushing yards and tied for the league in rushing touchdowns. So that was to be expected. But I completely agree with you regarding the significance of Quincy Riley finally seeing some snaps. Yadam was getting picked on all game before he was finally taken out, and I was excited to finally see Riley out there. Look, I don't think Riley could be any worse than what we've seen from Isaac Yadam. And look, it'd be great for Riley's development. We know last year, towards the end of the season, when the season was a goner, some of the young guys that should have been playing, we were wondering why they weren't out there getting reps and developing. So this season, if it's already looking bleak, why not get a head start? I don't see how that hurts you at all. I actually think it benefits you. But I also can't stress enough how important that comp pick is. In order for the Saints to have a successful rebuild, you have to find talent in the draft, and you have to nail all your picks. So the more chances you have in the draft to hit on a player, the better. And I think a 4th-round pick has just become more valuable as the years have gone by. You've seen how many hidden talents are coming out of that. Jonas Sanker in the 3rd. He's a 4th-rounder, right?
4th round? I'm fairly certain he's a 4th-rounder.
Yeah, so
I can make sure about that.
That's another guy who, on the defensive side, has looked outstanding. Another young guy who's been able to have a chance to develop with Julian Blackmon going down with that injury. Look, he was outstanding. Jonas Sanker, let me pull up his numbers here. Jonas Sanker had 5 total tackles, 3 PBUs, and had the Saints and Josh Allen's first interception of the season. And on that interception, man, did he cover some range.
It looks like Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah, it looked like Marcus Williams back in the day.
He flew to get that interception and
covered.
Yadam got beat. It was a pass. It was a good pass, and he just flew and got it. It was amazing.
And not to mention the play before that, Josh Allen tested him deep, and he came away with a PBU. I mean, he's just got so much.
He can
confidence.
cover tight ends.
Yeah, he's got so much confidence. I think the Saints nailed that draft pick. I can't wait to see him develop. I think he could be one of the prominent players on this defense for years. But that leads me to my last young player who I believe should be seeing the field, and that's Danny Stutzman. Pete Werner dropped one of the easiest interceptions I think you'll ever see in the NFL. I've just not been thrilled with how he's looked since signing that 3-year extension in 2024. I think it may be time to give Danny Stutzman that shot next to Demario Davis. Stutzman had some really nice plays on special teams. And look, I don't think Pete Werner's going to get any better than what you have right now. I think you know what Pete Werner is, and Danny Stutzman's potential is through the roof, so why not?
Yeah, and it really sucked. And real quick, Sanker was the Commanders' 3rd-round pick. He was 90-something. But it sucks because I feel like Pete Werner really had a decent start to the season. He was flying on defense. He was tackling. It was great. But yeah, it's one of those things where these are the type of players you have to gauge. you have a young player, and this isn't a Adam Riley situation.
No,
This isn't a you're being played off the field, like get out.
Yeah, I will clarify. Pete, I'm not saying Pete has been bad to the point where you need to get him off the field. I just think he needs to be showing more than what he has to this point, and Danny Stutzman's right behind him. And I'd argue Danny Stutzman's making a case to take that. So that
his special teams play is, I mean, it's been great. He had a little bit of bad special teams play against Seahawks, but everyone did. But like his special teams play has been great. But I completely agree. And again, this is kind of where you're gauging those type of players. And again, going into the trade deadline soon, Pete Werner, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets dealt. Like if there was one player I had to choose last year, my one player to choose was Marshawn Lattimore.
Yep.
My one player to choose is Pete Werner because you have Danny Stutzman behind him. I really think if you're not banking on Pete Werner's pass coverage, then just put in Stutzman because I know Stutzman's going to be a better tackler, and I know he's going to be better against the run. So, and I know if Danny Stutzman's floor on pass defense is Werner's floor on pass defense, and Danny Stutzman's pass defense in college was horrible, and I think he got an interception in practice this year, which was hilarious, but like if he's developing that, Stutzman's going to be a very good linebacker in this league. So just put him in and see. You already have a really good draft class. I mean, just in front of me. Banks has been beat at times, but he's a rookie tackle. It's whatever. Like he's going to be beat at times, but he's also played really well at times. We don't know about Tyler Shuck yet. He's developing the background. I don't count that right now in the draft class. That's a future thing. Vernon Broughton played well when he was healthy, and then he got injured, and that's why we were so devastated from that because he actually played really well. Jonas Anker, dog, great. He completely filled Julian Blackman's role. He's missing tackles, which isn't fun. This whole team's missing tackles. That's an issue, but
he made up for it.
Yeah, and he made up for it. Then, as I said, Danny Stutzman, if he comes in and does well. Quincy Riley already looks like he's doing well, and Devin Neal's a healthy scratch this game. I don't know why Devin Neal's a healthy scratch this game, but we all see that Devin Neal can bring something.
Yeah.
This is a good draft so far. This is exactly what a rebuild team needed. It is, let's just fix the depth. And if they can come in and do something, they can come in and do something. That's exactly what you want to do. This was never going to be a flashy draft because you need to fix the core first. Next draft, that's when you start adding talent, playmakers, big name players to this team to raise that floor and raise the ceiling. Then in 2027, quarterback is the question. But fix everything else. Just fix everything else. And I think that's what they're doing right now, and it's really good. I kind of mentioned the tackling. It was definitely an issue in this game. I mean, the first touchdown the Bills had, Khalil Shakir broke 90 tackles and scored. And that was one of the things I was talking about with Nick before we started recording was my issue with Adam. And I know we're dogging on him so much, but like sometimes it needs to happen. And I know it's happened every game, but when Demario Davis tackled Khalil Shakir on that play, I know Demario Davis is basically a sure thing tackle, but no NFL player should see that and be like, he's tackled. No. Adam was running and then stopped, watched the tackle, and then Khalil Shakir broke it and ran. Like, that was one of those times you probably should have helped. That's what made me mad the most because you're a veteran. That was a rookie mistake. That was something you shouldn't be doing. But yeah, and then again, the safety play was decent in this game. Justin Reed hasn't done anything for me to be like, you are worth signing, but I'm not against the signings. Yeah, it is. This isn't a Jarius Byrd situation where I'm just like, no. But like he didn't shine again. Jonas Singer completely out. Jonas Singer is the best defensive back on this team. Like I don't think there's a debate more. No. There's no debate. Like and I said last week, I was like, if Riley does well in this game, he's the best corner. And I honestly think he is the best corner right now because he played decent, fine, which is more than we could say. Like Kool-Aid was getting beat at the beginning of the game. Kool-Aid was getting beat a lot at the beginning of the game. Alante had a decent game. His name wasn't talked about a lot. I know he got beat in the slot sometimes, but I don't I don't expect a slot corner to be absolutely locked down every play. Like, I expect a slot corner to kind of get beat sometimes, but again, this wasn't a bad game from Wande. Tackling's still an issue. Now the defensive line had a weird game. I wouldn't be surprised if we see if we saw their pass rush win rate like bottom of the league, but they had a decent game. Like they got to Josh Allen a lot. And Granderson and Cam were getting to Allen. Obviously, it's Josh Allen, so his legs are just. There's some plays you just can't stop him. And that was it was one of the issues. The Saints let up a first down. I think it was on third down. And Josh Allen just ran down the middle because Cam Jordan got to his feet but couldn't get him. Yeah, and he just ran through everyone. Brian Brzee couldn't get to him. And then later in the game, Brian Brzee got the sack.
Yeah.
So there were some cleanup sacks. There was some where just like Cam Jordan completely beat his offensive lineman, which is something Drew talked about with the rookie offensive lineman, and then they just beat him. But this is still an issue. The defensive tackle group is not doing what we want them to do. Brian Brzee is still struggling in run defense. Devon Godchaux is struggling in run defense, which I do not like to see. Which I think with the nose tackle, it's hard for you to really carry the run defense that much. Like you could do a lot, but if there's no one next to you, it's going to be hard. I think. Why am I forgetting his name? The person, the defensive tackle, Christian Boyd. Yeah, he didn't really do much this game either. And then Nathan Shepard again really didn't do much this game. That's definitely a lackluster group right now. And same with the edge rushers. I just feel like we don't see enough yet.
Yeah, I completely agree. Actually want to talk about something where you were talking about with the rookies. Another rookie that actually stood out that I think is a huge bright spot for this team is Kai Kroger. Kai Kroger has completely exceeded expectations. I give so much credit to the Saints for making the right decision at that competition, especially because Kroger was the last of the three to enter the building out of Matthew Hayball and James Burnip. But hey, Kroger has looked awesome, dude. Kroger has really exceeded expectation. He had a great punt on Sunday against the Bills. A couple of weeks ago, had one of the better performances for punters in the NFL on that Sunday. I think it was week 3 because the Saints were punting a lot against the Seahawks, so it would be week 3. But yeah, like I said, had a short stint with the Jets, has came in and just completely killed it. I think the Saints have their punter for the future, and I couldn't be more happy in that decision.
Yeah, and there's it's one of those things with punter. It's like if you're not doing bad things, then you could be a punter. And there has been some short punts and some misses during the season, but I mean, this game was great. He got the Bills to the 2-yard line, and then there was another play where I hate bringing up his name again, but yeah, Adam on special teams probably could have played the punt better, and it hit the 2-yard line and went in the end zone. But if it was played a bit better, it could have been again the Bills on the 2-yard line. So he definitely had a good game, and hey, Blake Groupie also had a good game. Like that, he didn't miss a field goal, he didn't miss an extra point, hit a 50+ yard field goal. Like Blake Groupie had a really good game. But saying that, special teams was one of the reasons the Saints lost this game in a wild way, in my opinion, at least. There were a lot of penalties on special teams. Most of the Saints penalties, which we didn't even talk about, they cleaned up the penalties this game. They really cleaned up the pre-snap penalties, the defensive penalties. It was a really good game overall from that. But most of the penalties happened, I think there was 4 by the end of the game or 5, and either respected to the whatever number it was, one less, so 3 or 4 penalties were on the special teams. And the last one was the killer in the game. This is something I am blaming Kellen Moore on because it is his call. And if he left it up for Phil Galliano, then it's Phil Galliano's fault. I understand you're going for the punt block, but your offense isn't playing horrible. I want it in my quarterback's hands when the Bills are going to play off and your defense also is getting stops. I just want a chance. And I understand trying to go for the punt block is a fine idea, but as we saw, it's the reason the Saints ended up losing this game. It was, maybe the game was out of hand, Don't get me wrong. I think it was. But and if you don't know what I'm talking about, there was a roughing the kicker call because Nafai Sewell went for the block and completely, I mean, like injured the punter. It was not. It was an ugly. It could have been a very ugly injury. And it was 15 yards, and the Bills got the first down. So there were kind of just different plays throughout the game where the special teams it just isn't clicking yet. And there's still mistakes. That's definitely something going into next game needs to be fixed. And even with a good special teams performance, as you said, from the punter and the kicker, and yet there's still issues, that's a little bit of a worry too.
Yeah, and look, special teams has been an issue this season. There's no questioning that. Look, I would have expected Phil Galliano to have more of a grasp on this group by now, but that just hasn't been the case. Obviously, he's part of the Darren Rizzi tree. He said that performance against the Seahawks last week was embarrassing, and I don't think they did any better this week, I'm going to be honest with you. But I'd like to play devil's advocate on Blake Grupe here. Blake Grupe, this is the second time this season that he's missed the landing zone on a kickoff, giving the Bills position at the 40-yard line, putting the team in really bad position. I believe they went and scored on that drive as well.
It was the Dalton Kincaid touchdown.
Yeah, you just can't have that. Obviously, it's not as bad as missing field goals. He didn't miss a kick, but you've seen he's missed a kick in the first 3 weeks of the season and now has 2 misses in the landing zone. I don't think that does him any benefits. If anything, I think it hinders anything. So I wouldn't say he was great, but obviously it's good to see him not miss a kick because when you're struggling like that, it's a huge confidence builder to go perfect in a game.
Yeah, and it sucks because it's like with this new kickoff rule, again, if you're watching, you don't know, if the kick goes before a certain point, it is the offense starts at the 40-yard line. It is a penalty now. And if it goes in the end zone, they start at the 35, I'm pretty sure.
Something around there, yeah.
It's 30 or 35, and then but the key is you want them to return the ball. Like that's kind of what you want. And they're probably going to get to the 30-yard line anyway, but you want them to return the ball. So as you said, like this is twice Blake Grupe has not gotten enough on the ball or tried to accurately put it somewhere and it didn't work. One of the, like, if I'm looking at position battles on this team is going into next season, which again is something we're thinking about with an 0-4 team.
Yeah.
This is definitely one where I want them to bring in 3 other kickers, and I want this kicker competition to go deep into the training camp. I don't want them to draft a kicker. Please don't draft a kicker, for the love of God. But do it. Like, bring in 4 people and just see what you could do. And honestly, if you just want to move on from Grupe at the end of the season, you move on from Grupe at the end of the season. And that's kind of just, you go in with wanting a new kicker. Because, look, it could get worse.
Look, yeah.
I'm not saying it could get worse. Kicker play is bad in the NFL. It could get worse. But that's why I'm saying, okay, maybe you have like a 4-person competition, kind of like what you did with punter, had 3 people, and see what you could get. And look, it's maybe you find a Will Lutz, maybe, or maybe you find another groupie. But at least it's kind of just a different person that just you kind of move on. That's one of the things just also going into next season is like there's going to be a lot of players on this team where we're entering a new era and there's going to be new conversations to have about these players. And I think there are so many positives to take away from this game. And just as kind of a closing remark, like this was the best Saints game so far this season. The Bills are a Super Bowl favorite. We all came in thinking the Saints were going to get killed in this game. And they were competitive. They made
not all of us. I had us winning.
That's Nick. The Saints were competitive the whole game. They made Josh Allen's life hard at times. It was easy at times, but difficult at times. The offense had a clear plan, and it was working. Kellen Moore didn't go away from the run.
Nope.
He took the ball out of Spencer Rattler's hands when throwing. The offensive line played well. The DBs played well. Like, there were so many positives to take away from this game. I had hoped that they were going to win at one point. I was like, this could actually happen. This was for the long-term health of this team, the perfect scenario. Because you have zero confidence taken away from this locker room, in my opinion. You have belief in Spencer Rattler, and your draft pick wasn't affected. You did and the coaching staff showed like there was so much development in this game too, where first thing, you need to go into next game carrying that positive and maybe not improving on that, but doing the same thing
Right.
against the Giants and maybe winning. But you can't take a step back like the Seahawks game. And it definitely felt like this was the best game of the season.
100%. And the last thing I'll say before we wrap it up is actually regarding the kicking competition one more time. I still think there is a possibility, just based on the poor start to Blake Grupe's season, that we do see Charlie Smith take over this season. And I would love to see that. Obviously, I agree with you that the Saints should bring in a couple kickers this offseason, but I'd also like to see Charlie Smith still get his chance. So this might be the perfect time to see what you have in him if Grupe still continues being inconsistent and it's really hurting the team. I could see Charlie Smith getting a shot.
Yeah, if next game, like Blake Grupe misses 1 or 2 kicks and it's the difference in the game, I really think a change could happen. Like, that's kind of one of those, like, it's like a quarterback change. Like, if you are now losing the game for the team, that's when it kind of happens. We saw Russell Wilson and Jackson Dart.
We saw it with Younghoe Koo.
And we also saw it with Younghoe Koo. But playing Jackson Dart next week, it's going to be a fun game. We'll talk about it this week on our preview show. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, if you're hurting the team enough where you need to be off the field, we talked with Ruiz, Adam, and now kind of with Grupe if it happens. But those are the tough conversations you have with a young rebuilding team. That's kind of what has to happen. But yes, this game was amazing. But thank you for watching. Please come watch we're probably going to do it Thursday or Friday, but our preview show for Saints against the Giants. I have a feeling we're going to have more people say the Saints might win this game compared to what we thought for the Bills game. I don't know I doubt it's going to be a sweep, but thank you for watching.